We have with us in the studio Twalib Mbarak, the CEO of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, NOORDIN HAJI, the Director of Public Prosecutions, talking about that integrity issue. And we want to open up the phone line shortly, 0719-012-600. But DPP, you were quoted in the media a couple of weeks back with regards to continuing charges against officers who were facing corruption in court. And there was a lot of confusion. What exactly is the DPP saying? Is the DPP saying that he's going to not charge anybody who has a corruption case? Is he not going to continue with that? When you said you're not going to prioritize corruption cases for now because you have elections coming up, what exactly did you mean?
No, exactly that. What I meant is in the next 4 to 3 months, our priority will be focused on election violence, election-related offenses, which incidentally include corruption cases. This is in relation to the kinds of resources that we are going to dispose out there. Considering that the elections will be across the country, we must have the attention. We must give it the attention it deserves. First of all, if you look at the kind of funding we have, it is not sufficient. So as the manager, I have to be able to prioritize the fundings depending on the challenges that I'm being faced with. And I think currently the biggest challenge that we're going to be faced with as a country is ensuring that these elections are peaceful and that Kenyans are able to exercise their rights. And because of that, we are prioritizing that. Our priority has always been corruption, but it will probably become priority 2. And priority 1 is to ensure that we deliver a peaceful, free and fair election. That's what I meant.
So what are the cases that you'd then be taking the number 1 position? What kind of cases that are related to elections?
Well, election violences or corruption related to maybe procurement of systems and or corruption relating to election offenses themselves, for example, bribery and all that. Those are the kind of offenses that we'll be looking into. And this starts initially people always thought election violence and election-related offenses only happen during the election, that is on August 8th. But this is something out of experience. We have noted that it builds up over a period of time. And this is where now we are concentrating our resources into ensuring that we have the expertise, we have the people on the ground who will be able to deliver.
What prohibits or stops both of your offices from being vocal about some of these things beyond what has already been done? We can understand that the law with all its tether wraps you up and says you cannot do more than this. You cannot do. But then what stops a message from coming out from both of your offices with regularity about what you're saying today? I mean, like you say, gloves off, let's have this conversation about saying what decisions are we making as a country when it comes to the leaders that we're putting into office who even have a stain. We've seen people in other countries, for example, who it has not even been smelt by the law. It has not even, the vanguards of security, for example, or corruption, or whatever, have not even said a thing. But they, because of the high morality index, have said, you know what, this could potentially besmirch this office, and they step down. Right? What stops the EACC, the DPP, from saying, you know what, guys, this is the truth of the matter, and we're not on our watch will we stand by and allow these things to continue to happen in this manner?
I think, to be fair, we've been doing that. For example, I've become so unpopular that every 2 weeks I'm being taken to court,
right,
because of the decisions that we are making, and because of the changes that we are trying to bring, so that we're able to do some of these things. But we are not deterred. There are times when we go on overdrive, and there are times then we watch what kind of reaction is coming out of it, and then also testing and piloting some of these ideas that we have that are innovative. For example, the guidelines on the decision to charge. If adhered to strictly by both investigators and the prosecutors, you will see a big difference in terms of the kind of quality cases that we're going to deliver. And then it will also help us to expedite some of these processes. But then when you have individuals who are always trying to throw spanners so that it doesn't work, of course, we are going to be a little bit dragging in terms of the desired changes that we want to see.
Is there anything that prevents you from listing all the people whom you have cases against and letting the public know, naming these ones, MP this and this, case against him this, governor this, senator this, whoever it is?
I think I need to educate you on that.
Please.
The ESCC, we do what we call quarterly reports. We submit that to the AG, we submit even copy to the DPP Parliament, and it contains all that. We normally show it, and it is even, the media picks it in public. Going back to the question, I want to combine the answer for what you said about why don't we put an overdrive. You know, there's a principle that Aristotle talk about. Anything that is extreme can become poisonous. To be very rich, he said, it's not good for society. If everybody is rich, you'll just have a country full of arrogant people. And if people are very poor, you'll have a country full of misery. So he said the middle level. So we try to maintain that principle, because when we shout a lot, the public may end up saying, these people are just shouting and they're doing nothing. Because the citizens are frustrated. They'll see on the ground that all what these people are saying, things are not working. And there's something that the DPP has talked about, which I argued when I was in Rwanda last week with a presenter from Transparency International. You know, Kenya has got a very vibrant media, extremely vibrant. Sometimes you even go overboard. And there's a perception sometimes that Kenya is collapsing because of corruption. And I don't think that is the case. It's just because Kenyans are free to talk on all issues. I asked that guy of Transparency International, you rated North Korea, I don't know, country 165. I asked him, how did you get the data when that is said to be the most closed country in the world to rate it at a position 165? He had no answer. So going back to your question, is that the effort to address corruption is a societal challenge. Let us not over-condemn the politicians. We have good politicians. And equally, we have bad politicians. We have good citizens. We have bad. We have our own challenges as institutions, budgetary problems, and inability to maintain, to keep staff in our places of work because they go for better places. They are young generation. But let us keep on asking these big questions. Let the citizen know that they can contribute a lot in the future of this country. And the good thing about this country is that it is 70% youth. You know, when you talk of youth, you're talking of future. People like us now, we crossed that youth bracket, and now we're just observers, trying to see how the youth are moving. It is up to the youth to get young, focused leaders of their age group who are able to articulate their problems. And you'll find that with time, the way NOORDIN has said, this country, as much as we make noise, this country is driven by institutions. Most of the countries in Africa, they are one-man show. Here, this is a country driven by institutions. They are very strong institutions, although there are challenges and we make noise, but there is future, and the main people to drive this are the citizens. So the citizen in this country should be advised, don't let the politician determine your future. Determine your future by getting the right politician, irrespective of their party. And you will find this country, it will prosper very fast.
Barack, CT here will tell you that he feels that Kenyans love their corruption, this variety of corruption. So here we are saying that actually the onus lies on the electorate to make the decision about who, if you're going to allow said characters to come back. But it is the same electorate, it's the same people who want to ask a leader who has come back to the community, where is your big vehicle? Where is your this, that's the other thing? That we like the corruption, we imbibe this corruption. So then we're asking a group who is not as sanctified or sanitized to make a decision and hopefully to, turn over these individuals. Do you agree with that? In all your dealings of seeing things happen.
That one.
Do you think that's true?
That one is true and is not true. It's true because I remember. I keep on giving this example. I remember when I was in Form 4, 1983. There was a minister who was sacked, a long-serving minister. When he was sacked, the second day, the media picked it that he had no money to take his family back to his home village. Mm-hmm. And people made noise and said, look at this guy, so stupid. All those years he was a minister and he never took care of himself. but what is the message is that man was...
He had integrity.
He had integrity. But the public, going back to your question, the public were despising him and looking at him as a stupid man who did not build whatever. So there is an element, but also we have an element of many Kenyans who dislike corruption. And the issue of saying that we are voting people who are not people of integrity, this happens everywhere in the world. Mm-hmm. We had cases in New York where 2 mayors were caught sniffing drugs. Can you imagine a whole mayor? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's there. If you Google, you get. I think one who used to be called Barry. I don't know what it was for. He was the mayor of Washington or New York in the late 80s. Mm-hmm. So even in America, as a developed society with over 150 years of democracy at that time, in the late 80s, you can imagine the elected mayor who used to sniff coke. The white stuff. Mm-hmm. So these things come and it's part of the evolution of society. We have this constitution which is almost 10 years old. I think it's time our lawmakers go through it, do some patches, and we'll be there.
What do you think? Is it because of the lack of sufficient pressure from the electorate that even the politicians know with impunity? I mean, this law we don't need. We have no pressure at all from the people to make a law that will catch us if we're with our hands in the cookie jar. Is it that because the electorate are beneficiaries some way or the other of corruption? When that money is stolen, it's brought to our village. This guy comes and builds a big house. He employs our people. As Watum Jengo, he employs our people to work for him. Is that part of it?
I think, the problem, Latif, is also probably how... let me put it this way: the politicians have exploited our culture as Africans and the Ubuntu culture of community ownership, and they've exploited that so much so that they've not allowed us to move away from that concept in the sense that once you take responsibility, it is you and it is not the community that should take that responsibility. And if you're going and if you're being given a post, what we expect, even if it's the community that has voted you, but we expect you as an individual to take responsibility and deliver for the community. Mm-hmm. Deliver for not for yourself. And that if somebody is actually delivering for themselves, they are not delivering for the community. And this is something that we've not managed, especially in the rural areas, to move away from. There is still that concept that huyu ni mtu yetu, akikula sisi tumekula, hata kama umekaa na njaa, you still feel wacha tu yeye akue, labda we will get something out of it. But as a society we have moved away. Kenya, we've decided that we're going to be a capitalist system, and if you're capitalist, then it is about individuals. So each individual should be taken to task, and each leader who's given that responsibility should be taken to task individually. What have you delivered? So, for example, if it is ESCC and ODPP, we are the first people who should be asked, we've given you this responsibility. Mm-hmm. Have you delivered as NOORDIN HAJI? But not as NOORDIN HAJI ule Msomali kutoka Garissa. Because mimi nikikaa, I'm educating my kids, my salary, I will just share it with my family.
Yep.
But when I get into trouble,
It's
naita village yote kujeni. They don't know why. They don't know what what trouble I've put myself into, the kind of disservice that I've done to the country. If we can move away from that, and if we can also, as Kenyans, take ownership of Kenya Incorporated, Kenya Republic of Kenya, then we will be able to move away from this shenanigans of individuals saying that they belong to a certain community. When you go for them,
you're targeting our people.
I think part of it is, as ODPP, from June, we're going to go out to communities and do outreach programs and try to sensitize communities on their rights to access justice, but also their rights in terms of when you're going to vote, what is expected of you? What are some of the offenses that you should not fall into? Should not take a bribe from a politician, because when you take a bribe, both of you are going to be charged. And then what is the impact of that? So we are working, and we've already come up with a program that we are developing together with the civil society and donor communities, that we will try and reach out there so that we play our role as individuals who have been given the duty to ensure that Kenyans access justice. And how do we ensure that Kenyans access justice? One way is to sensitize them, make them understand. Huyu jamaa akifanya makosa, yeye ni mhalifu. It is him as an individual, not you as a community.
Let's open up the phone lines. 0712 0712-019-600. That's the phone line. Call us right now. Speak to the ODPP and the EACC. So we're talking about the integrity question this morning with the two institutions. One thing that is very clear from what they're saying is the law as is currently written is very weak on the matter of vetting and allowing these two institutions to actually sieve people who have questionable character from getting onto the ballot. Even the IEBC does not have much leeway on this. However, the DPP is saying to him, it's very, very clear. If you are a governor and you've been impeached, you should not even contemplate seeking office either in the county that impeached you or in any other county in this country. And it says it's going to fight this, going to court. Talk to them, 0719-012-600. Please call in right now.
Even as we look at, moving forward and saying, okay, here we are. There's an election coming up in the next 3 months. Here's an opportunity then for people. Do you think that we're looking at years and years of compounded behavior, that it doesn't matter who it is, you would vote them in because of what they're able to do for you? Do you think it's possible to at least even start to chip away at that mentality? Because if we're saying that the responsibility now lies on the shoulders of the electorate to make decisions about people who will come into parliament tomorrow and change laws, or to make decisions about people who have a stain on their character or image and not vote them in at all, do you think that there's enough time to even start to chip away at this behavior of doing things in the way in which it has been before?
Yes, I think the time is there, and that is why the two of us are here. Part is the use of the media. The media is very, very important. But also you need to look at, have you been to northern Kenya yourself?
Some parts.
Where? Maybe Maxima Misiolo. where the old tarmac used to end. You have to look at the other issues which are very, very important. The culture. For instance, most of the northern communities, it is not about who has the agenda. Just like downwards, people look at tribal blocks, then they look at clans. And you cannot remove that issue overnight. You cannot go and tell them, this is not allowed, you can't do such things. You'll even offend them. It will come with the education and development that will go there. But as at now, those areas, people do clan arithmetic. Even before you are taken by a party as a governor, candidate for a governorship, that political party must go there and listen to themselves. And themselves will say, now this clan has agreed X is our candidate. Even that leader of the political party from Nairobi, whether it's a big political party, he must listen to them. He must listen to themselves. And once that endorsement comes, if the candidate is illiterate, and for me as a voter, I'm a professor, I have to vote for him. So these are some of the things, inner issues that people must understand. Then when you talk of the corruption within the electorate, you see, this is a country that you have a lot of youth who are not employed. They're desperate. People are qualified, degree holders, they have no jobs. So when a politician comes and unleashes some 200 shilling notes, 500 shilling notes, it's like a dry area that one day has seen a rain cloud that has passed and rain becomes a blessing to them. And they will say, others are putting billboards, at least this man has given us money. So there are other issues to be addressed. The issue of unemployment, the issue of poverty, the issue of public awareness. Like for us in the fight.
Hold on, let me just take a couple of calls because we have callers on the line. Lydia in Parklands, good morning.
Good morning, SpiceFM. Today is a very nice, important day of discussions. I wanted to say that jobs are all getting lost because of politicians. Number one, my mother had a shop on Kenyatta Avenue under Museo Jomo Kenyatta. Trade license was 150 shillings. It paid to commerce and industry. Then the Moi regime came, everything started like cattle rustling. Just by the word of mouth on the road, pay a license to City Council. City Council already had its system. But pay your trade license to City Council. From 150 shillings, with a scratch of a biro, they said pay 6,000 shillings. The next year you go there, by the scratch of a biro, they say pay 12,000 shillings. Another friend had a bookshop on Kenyatta Avenue. They paid 9,000. Next year they were told, if you paid 9, bring 18. Then it went on and on. Whatever is 10 became 20. Then post-election violence, again cattle rustlers came in, paid 35,000. That's 75% more. The following year, pay 4,500 for fire
license
protection, whatever. It's just on and on. Cattle rustlers should not come back again.
Thank you, Lydia. Thank you very much. Let's hear from Alan in Buruburu. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Spice FM.
Morning.
I appreciate you. One more time, I've disappeared for a long time. I was handling a legal case.
Karibu.
But I thank NOORDIN, HAJI, his ODPP's office has stood and directed me in a good way. And then also the Twali Mubarak, both gentlemen have got good ethics. That's why they stand out in public. And they have made enemies amongst the corrupt people. But the true thing about Kenya is Kenyans love corruption. But there's something that would have saved Kenya. The lifestyle audit, had it been done over 1 year ago, a lot of these funny politicians would not be running right now. But there has been undermining, and that's why I called for a revolution. A revolution is a change of mindset also. It doesn't mean going on the streets and throwing stones and shooting people. No, a revolution is a change of a mindset. But the young people in Kenya are losing everything because the country belongs to them in the future.
Thank you, Alan. Let's hear from Mohammed in Mwakijembe. Mohammed, good morning.
Morning, sir.
How are you?
Salamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Mwanzo nimefurahi sana kupata wageni ndugu Fadil Mbarak bin Saad na ndugu yetu NOORDIN Haji. Nimefanya nini jambo la busara kuwaleta hapo kwenye idhaa so that we can interact in this conversation. My topic is the moral rot. Mr. Fadil.
Yes.
The root cause of corruption is brought about by greed, lack of apathy, cheating, dishonesty, and all those moral values which causes someone to be corrupt, be it the local minority, be it the one in the leadership, across board, whether it's in Kenya or globally. Moral rot is the root cause. So how do we tackle it? Because we have institutions, we have laws. In fact, even if we write our laws with golden ink and dotted with diamonds, as long as moral values is lacking, nothing will happen.
Thank you.
So
He'll respond to that.
Ideas to Mr. Eric several times, but they come up with topics which are very interesting, like habitat, nutrition, and all that. But anything to do with moral values, they also not. It appears either they are not keen or they abhor that subject. Thank you very much.
Asante. Before you answer that one, let's hear from Salim in Mombasa. Good morning.
Halo.
Hello, Salim.
Habari asubuhi.
Salim, naomba uzime redio yako tafadhali.
Halo, habari asubuhi.
Salama kabisa.
Bwana, mimi nataka kumuuliza huyu bwana NOORDIN HAJI. Kuhusu hili swala la Sonko kutolewa Nairobi kwenye ugavana kuja kupigania Mombasa. Maanake ikiwa kule yeye alifanya mambo ya corruption akawa impeached. Sasa huku Mombasa ndo ankuja ili apate kuiba ama ndo vipi?
Sasa unataka bwana DPP pia kujibu vipi? Swali gani kwa?
Aniambie kwamba kikatiba yeye aruhusiwa kusimamia.
Okay. Sawa, atakujibu. George in Nairobi.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Yeah, thank you so much, Bwana DPP and Bwana NOORDIN HAJI and the EACC guys for the good work that you guys are doing. My main question is that since that the two work together, can they actually share their knowledge to make work much more easier and faster if they can invest into knowledge management systems?
All right.
That can help you in a better way.
This is sharing knowledge between the two institutions?
Yeah, and other stakeholders also.
Okay. Asante.
That can make them easier.
All right. Let's take those ones first before we pick other calls.
Let me talk about the moral values.
Yes.
I know he asked in Kiswahili, but I'll reply in English. The issue of moral values is not EACC to start educating people. Moral values start the day you are born. When you start crawling, your mother starts showing you this is fire, don't touch it, the good and the bad. And in sociology, we say we have agency of socialization, which start with the parenting, the environment outside, the education system, the state, and finally the state in terms of correctional services. Imekatana sawa ni unakula bangi ama ni mwizi, jela. So we are having a very big problem in this country in terms of family values. Today, many children are brought without proper parenting, and it's not about single mothers. It's about parenting. Families are not there for their children. The families are being brought up by house help. The mother is not there fighting to get some earnings to make the kids survive. The fathers are nowhere to be seen. They are chasing wealth, building careers, and we look at that in a sum as success. When these kids grow big, you hear something that you cannot even imagine. A child has taken a panga or a pistol, he wants to shoot the father. Maybe it's from the elite family. So we have neglected parenting, and what we are doing right now is like what that guy asked me, what are we going to do as EACC? EACC has got 1,000 staff, and Department of Ethics has got 80 staff. So I don't know what we can do for 50 million people with 80 staff.
What would you like to see happening in the society?
In the society is that as much as we are embracing modernity, as much as now marriages, they are becoming very fragile, many people are opting to have single parenting, and those who have married, they tend to neglect the children and the mothers. We need to support the mothers. We need to support the families. We need to have time with our children. We need to have time with our friends. Issues are coming out now. Suicide is becoming very rampant in institutions that are very demanding. Before, that was not the case. There is a rot in the family upbringing, irrespective of which religion you belong to, which tribal group you belong to. There is a problem in how we bring up our kids. And in the long run, this is a time bomb for this country.
Respond to the issue of lifestyle audit.
Lifestyle audit, it's a very complicated issue. Many people will be shocked that as the head of EACC, I will tell you in black and white, there is no country in the world that has got laws in lifestyle audit. We were trying to work out on that, and we are still working out on that. We are stuck. We noted there are only about 2 countries that have got some semblance of laws on lifestyle audit. One is South Africa, and one is the country that is now in a war, that is Ukraine. And when we went deeper, it was not lifestyle audit because they want to see accountability. There's a hidden political agenda within that lifestyle audit. So we went to big countries like Italy, we went to USA. I can bet there is no formula of lifestyle audit. Lifestyle audit is the public, the media. It has happened. I remember there was a time in France, a minister, the media highlighted that he bought a very, very expensive flat in one of the most expensive areas of Paris. And they said, look, this guy was just a lecturer 6 months ago as an economist. How did he manage to get this flat? And the pressure was too much on that guy until he resigned. So the only time we can do lifestyle audit here, it is us, the citizen, the media, who will come up and blow up these cases, and it will take care of that. But having laws on lifestyle audit is so complicated. The interests are very high. You find even the developed world, they are not interested, because at the end of the day, the architect of putting a lifestyle audit and approval will be a politician, and that is the only person. That is a person that you have targeted in the exposure of corruption. And I just need to bring to attention that I was reading a book on corruption as a global problem, and you'll be shocked. The developed world, they have a lot of corruption. It's only that it's high tech, and they say that there's an engine or a machine called, is composed of 2 elements for it to work: power and politics. And that machine, the fuel is corruption. So you can see the correlationship that it takes time. It will be difficult to have a document on lifestyle audit. And there's another problem also on some of these laws. Sometimes when you see politicians are not in favor of certain laws, let's not over-condemn them. They fear vendetta, because some of those laws can be used for political witch hunt. It happened in Brazil, where the former president said that he was jailed because he's too influential, and the laws were used against him to lock him. So we have to understand it's a very complicated circuit.
NOORDIN, respond to the issue of that has been raised. Impeached governor seeking election, just for clarification, again.
Yeah, as I said, my opinion is that once you're impeached, you should not be able to run for office anywhere in this country. And I think myself as the DPP and ODPP will exploit all avenues to ensure that this message hits home. And such individuals are bad. I have nothing against Sonko or anybody else. It's just the law. And it's also about our country. There must be a semblance of respect for the rule of law.
How about in the case where a governor has been, you've taken a governor to court as the ODPP, and the court has barred the governor from accessing office. Now, we're coming into an election. Of course, we still have those whole issue of, exhausting. But you've been told do not access office for now. Should this person contest for elective office, in your opinion?
Ideally, that person should not be. But then again, we go back to the issue of whether we have a conviction or not. And then also the interpretation of the ASECA, I think Section 65, that talks about a public officer, and this is something that has not been completely exhausted. But where, the Parliament has sat down and passed unanimously that a person should be impeached, and that person, and the courts have upheld it, then that person surely should not be able to run for office. In the issue of morality, there was a point that I wanted to bring. In China, for example, the education system, I think I've said this before, the education system and moral issues have been securitized, and they are a national security issue and a priority. I think maybe in Kenya we will have to go that way, so that when you say securitization, then it is taken up at a very high level in ensuring that our moral values are enforced, and the education system actually tries to deliver a certain standard of moral value that will cut across the country. There was the issue by George about knowledge, sharing knowledge. That's why we have the NCAJ, the National Council on Administration of Justice. Just the other day we were in Naivasha, and we're sitting down and sharing and trying to see how we can synergize and work together and ensure that the interdependence, as much as we are independent of each other, is played out effectively for the benefit of Kenyans.
It's 18 minutes to 11. We want to thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming and joining us, and even extending the conversation. Take a minute each to give your closing remarks. Speak to the country and tell them what you would like them to think about as we're heading towards August 9th. Let's start with you, Twalib.
Mine will be a two-word statement to all Kenyans. Vote wisely.
Make a full stop. Exclamation.
Vote wisely. That's all.
NOORDIN?
I think I echo my brother's sentiment that one, let us vote wisely, and two, I think let us put this country ahead, make sure that we own it, and the only way we can do that is to ensure that we have people of integrity who will deliver for us. And it is not sufficient that individuals who look flashy and all that. I remember even the story of Aladdin, where they were trading the new lamps for the old. Of course, the old doesn't look very good. The new lamps are shiny, but they don't even last long. If we can take it upon ourselves that this is our country, that Kenya is actually a house that we own as Kenyans, then we should be able to bring the right people into our living room. And therefore, voting wisely is extremely important.
I think the last one maybe is, as much as we have bashed the media, I would like also to thank you, because we have done a lot of what you call disruption in the fight against corruption, averting loss of billions of shillings, and mainly is as a result of the media, which include the Standard Group. And we also appreciate the public. As much as we say that they are being hijacked by the politician, quite a number of cases that are high profile with EACC, the origin of those cases is that it is the public that brought that information. So let us work as a society, and each group should play its role to the maximum.
Asante sana. Thank you very much for tuning in to Kenya's biggest conversation, The Situation Room, today. And thank you for interacting with our guests this morning, the Director of Public Prosecutions, NOORDIN HAJI, and the Chief Executive Officer of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, Twalib Mbarak.